Tick tock, tick tock. We'll watch the clock go for God knows how long. See if we can get any faster than the 40 seconds or whatever it took last week. Waiting, waiting, waiting. Come on, YouTube. Okay, that's 25 seconds. Still waiting. 30. 35. Here we come. And the low carb light protein powder. Skip. Okay, there we go. All right, let's see if you guys can see me. All right, and I'm seeing 5x5s, Healthy Disrespect, David Madry, Tal Moore, Jacob, Scott McHugh, Circe, Simple, 2708 Fastball, Joe Cook, Pennsylvania Mama Bear, Heaven's Fire, and we continue. Happy Tuesday. Okay, so we have made it. It's a fun day here. I'm beat. I don't know about anybody else. For the last 2 days, Mrs. P and I have been making strawberry jam. Strawberries are coming in. June bearing strawberries around here are coming in May. So we are picking strawberries by the bucket, I guess, if you will. I mean, probably picking, a gallon or so strawberries a day. And we just keep processing them into jam because we can't eat them. So, but again, it's like many times I've said, it's store the food, we'll have it, it's there. It's not like it's going to go bad. We're good. So, and other than that, it is primary day in 3 states today. Not that it really makes a difference, but I mean, we know who the future president is and who we know who the future cadaver is. Uh, no, current cadaver, I guess is a better way of putting it. But yeah, West Virginia is the big one. Maryland's in there too, so we'll see what happens with those. But hopefully, with a little luck, both of those states flip. And well, we know West Virginia is going to flip because Manchin's not running. And if West Virginia votes for a Democrat, I will literally eat my hat. Uh, Maryland, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, at least if we get true conservatives and not rhinos, we'll see. But that's about it. Uh, the Trump trial, of course, is, I mean, crazy. I mean, it's like, okay, let's bring the least credible witness in and then find somebody who's worse. We'll bring in Stormy Daniels because everybody trusts a porn star. And then we're going to bring in a felon. There's another credible witness. We'll go after that. So, I mean, who's next? They're going to bring in, Biden's dog. Well, be more intelligent than Biden. So, beside the point. But yeah, no, around here it's just been garden, 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 garden. Get everything planted. Things are growing. My beets are looking great. My cabbage is heading. My broccoli has not started to head yet, which is worrying me because it's going to start getting warm here. Tomatoes in, peppers in, beans in, corn's in, potatoes are looking good. So just more stuff to put away, buy more canning jars, and I'll have it. So that's pretty much all we got there. But yeah, strawberries are coming in. Fruit trees look great. I think I told you guys we planted 3 more fruit trees here a week or so ago. Survived the storm, just kind of hanging through. So, all right, uneventful. Let's get into Q&A here. As per normal, if you guys got questions for me, please put them in all caps. Just makes it easier for me to find everything. Second part is the rule, the only rule around here. Keep it civil, keep it polite. Don't say anything that, to somebody else that you wouldn't like said to you. We don't put up with that around here. The mods don't put up with it. I'll never see it. You want to be rude, just leave. Okay. Because if you don't want to do it on your own, we'll do it for you. Pretty easy. So, all right, let's get into questions here real quick. And I'm going to scroll up to the top. And there's 5x5s. Okay. Sunset, problem in my apartment. Gnats on the strawberry. Should I put cloth down over the soil or throw it out? You've inevitably got fungus gnats. That's what you've got there. And man, see, I mean, the problem is that should have been solved before you planted anything in the house. I've talked to this many times, is before you plant anything that you're going to keep indoors, use boiling water over the soil. Now that you've got the plants in, it's a little late. Uh, you can try covering them with something and see if it'll suffocate them. But unfortunately, you made the mistake early on, and now you're going to pay the price because they just keep laying eggs and you're going to keep getting more fungus gnats. Try covering it. I don't know of any additive, pesticide, whatever that you can put in that's going to control fungus gnats. You got to kill them before it, because they're in the soil. You got to kill them before they come in the house. It's a little late now. So if you throw them out, you're throwing out the strawberry plant. So all right. And of course, this is already going to argue with me. Von Mousetrap, good evening, Mr. P. This weekend I will be making strawberry jam. Would enjoy a good low sugar recipe if available. Okay. So when me and Mrs. P started making this stuff, sneeze. Excuse me. When me and Mrs. P started making strawberry jam on Sunday, that was the same question I have. Could we make it with stevia or something like that? And so I asked Lisa over at Sutton's Days, and she gave me a quick lesson in making strawberry jam. You can't use stevia or equal or sweet and low or anything because the jam will turn brown, okay, instead of being ruby red. You can maybe keep it and it'll last for a couple of weeks in the fridge, but if you want to put it up for storage, no, it's going to have to be sugar. Now, she did send me, there's apparently some sort of pectin that you can use that you can make the jam without sugar at all, but you're going to have to go look that up. I didn't save the link because we weren't going to go do that and just go off of the sugars in the strawberries themselves. But yeah, that was a very specific pectin, not the Sure Gel that I use. I don't have anything for a sugar-free. I'd love to, but yeah, I mean, to make eight pints of strawberry jam required 12 cups of sugar, or 3 quarts, lots of sugar. Hence why we're not eating it. Okay. Mary B 333. Will we dehydrate some of those strawberries? We thought about it. We might. I mean, Mrs. P wants to put the jam up. I mean, I told her, I said, I'd like to make a bottle of strawberry wine out of it. Don't think I'm going to have enough strawberries to do that. But we'll see once she's made. I mean, we've made 8 pints of jam. We got enough to make another 8 pints tomorrow. How many pints of strawberry jam are you going to go through? Maybe if there's any left, she'll let me play with it. So we'll see. Healthy disrespect. What? No dehydrating strawberries too? Same story. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Prep Rebel. For the first time in 5 years of trying, I finally have strawberries on the vine. There you go. The key with strawberries is, I mean, they're perennials. Okay, so for the most part, they're pretty easy. You plant them in the ground, they're going to spread. I mean, I told you guys, I mean, we planted 5 plants that one of you guys sent us a couple of years ago, and I mean, I've got a strawberry patch at this point. That's probably, 15 by 8 or somewhere thereabouts. and anything that grows in the grass just gets mowed. But the key to strawberries is they need good soil, and so throwing some compost in there, uh, and I always use at the very late winter, hit it with a good healthy dose of berry tone. It's another one of these. Uh, I think it's Job's that makes the fertilizer for it, and I just go in there and I throw on our patch about a half a bag, about a pound and a half of it in there, and I mean we're picking strawberries every day. I mean, to the point where we're getting a couple of quarts a day, easy, if not close to a gallon at this point. Again, we have June bearing strawberries, not ever bearing, but personal opinion, I'd rather have Juneberry. I'd rather get them all in at once, process them, and move on rather than get a cup of strawberries here and a cup of strawberries there. So, I mean, if you've got a massive strawberry patch, the everbearings might be more beneficial. Something smaller, like to the scale we have, it's what, 100 square feet maybe. Uh, mm, yeah, 120 square feet. Uh, June bearing works best. I mean, if we wanted to, we could probably get 24 pints of jam out of it. It's more jam than anybody's. I mean, honestly, do you eat half a pint of jam a week? Okay, that would be what we go through in a year, by what we're going to get. Uh, Hey, family farm, what's my opinion on juggling paying off debt and trying to prepare? We're trying to do both and are struggling. Thank you for your insight and all you share. Uh, okay, I'm assuming when you're saying juggling paying off debt, it doesn't mean you're skipping a credit card payment or something being late. You're still paying at least the minimums on it. Yeah, you got to do some of both. Okay. And again, I don't know how far you are, if you started prepping 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 2 years ago, what you've got going on. Okay. A lot of what we talk about here is more advanced level prepping. Uh, when we're starting to talk about getting security systems put in or different weapons platforms or things like that. Yeah, I mean that those are not priorities. Okay, the priorities that you start with are beans, bullets, and band-aids. Okay, you're certainly not going, gee, you know what, I'm going to go buy 2 ounces of gold instead of $4,000 worth of food, uh, or $5,000 almost at this point. The best advice I can give you there, and depending on where you are, okay, I'm gonna assume this is food to start when you're talking about this, is go through and figure out, and this is more difficult than you think. Figure out what it's going to take to get you to whatever your goal is, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2, 3, whatever it is, and how much food you need. Okay. Now, again, give you this. The average American person eats 2,000 pounds of food a year. Yeah, that's true. It's a lot of freaking food. How much can you grow? How much can you raise? How much can you produce yourself? Okay. I mean, if you can go out and get a couple of deer each year, great. There's a couple of months worth of meat. You're good. Okay. So that's less that you have to buy. If you have the ability to get a side of beef, a whole cow, a whole pig, whatever, and put meat in the freezer on the cheap, that's good. The whole thing is you've got to find, when you're talking about juggling paying off debt, find deals. If there's a great deal on chicken at the grocery store this week, buy it all. If there's no deals at the grocery store this week, put the extra toward debt. Okay. You know what the rough going price is on the things you buy, which is probably different than what I buy. Okay. But chicken thighs, something that Mrs. P and I eat. Okay. You go into the grocery store here, they're normally $1.79 a pound, $1.99 a pound. Last time we were at Kroger up here, they were $1.99 a pound. 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were $1.09 a pound on sale. It's what, 45% off, thereabouts? Yeah, we bought everything in the store. I mean, everything was on the shelves. They probably had more in the back. Okay. But we bought, what, 13 or 14 packs of chicken thighs and threw them all in the freezer. Okay. When we were at the store last week, they were $1.99. We didn't buy any. I'll wait for them to go on sale again. If I'm in the situation what you're talking about, yeah, okay. If I got an extra $50, put it toward the mortgage, the car payment, the credit card bills, the student loans, whatever you got. Okay. That find whatever, just like when you're paying off bills. Okay. You want to pay the contrary to what Dave Ramsey says. Okay. You want to pay the stuff with the highest interest rate first. I'm going to pay off a 10% or 18% credit card before I'm going to pay off a 6% mortgage. That's just prudent. Okay. The same thing there when you're figuring out how to allocate my money, allocate it where I can get the most bang for my buck. So, snake bite, how's the fish pond going? More water in it after the storms we got last week. Fish are still looking good. So Mrs. P didn't feed them today, so we haven't got the report, but it's probably no different than last week. She's not out there going, and they grew 3 millimeters this week. They're 6 to 8 inches long, so they're looking good. Carol McKinney got ribeye on sale today for $6.99 a pound. That is an awesome price. I hope to God you cleaned out the store. Lightning 77 AT hiker. What's the best bait to put in traps for groundhogs? They run from the garden when I open the door and get under a shed. I have no freaking idea. I've never had a groundhog issue anywhere I've lived. So that's not going to be a question I can answer. Okay, we had a whole bunch of stuff that I missed. So let's get back up to where we were. Okay. McHale 539. Pinball, please discuss potato leaf rust and how to prevent and treat. Tons of rain this spring, potato leaf rust fungus. Again, it's not a problem I have. I can't think of it's ever a problem I've had. But the problem that you're getting is probably just like tomatoes or cucumbers or something like that, is the ground, the rain is bouncing on the ground and getting that soil. It's bringing the bacteria up from the soil onto the plants. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure what's going to cure that. Again, it's not a problem I've ever run into. So, but you got to have something like a DE or something like that is going to help. But I'm not giving you any answers to that one because it's not something I've ever run across. UC Chrissy, good evening. What's my bowling average? Last night was the last night of bowling for the league for the year. And I was extremely frustrated because I did not get a 200 all season. And last night in the second game, I had, was it a 180, if I remember correctly, like a 183 in the 8th frame. No, it couldn't have been there. It was a one. No, I think it wound up. I had 171 or so. However, it worked out. Okay. I'm standing up there bowling the 10th frame. I'm going, I got 200 right here. As long as I don't throw a split. Sure enough, what do I get? A 4-6-10 split at the top of the 10th. And I wind up at a 196. 5 times I had games this season in the 190s, could not break 200. Frustrated beyond belief. But My average for the season never really changed. I finished with a 151 average. I kind of bounced between 151 and 149. But I started the season at 151. I ended the season at 151. Okay, I had fun. That that's the thing. Got to meet some good people and had fun. That was it. Trying to live my life. Circe, hey Pinball, two apple trees blossom nice, and then they both get red orange circular spots. 5 years, what is it? And treatment. Landlord's trees in my garden. Boy, you guys are throwing stuff at me tonight that I don't know. I, it sounds like you've got some sort of disease in the tree somewhat, but again, no clue. So, uh, I don't know. You're gonna have to look that one up. James Carroll, AP reports Iridium 242 passed. Okay. Way down yonder. How did you come to? How, Mountaintops. This has got to be part of you. How did you come to call your channel Pinball? Love the show. Okay, for the 8 millionth time. Pinball was my call sign when I was in the Army. And so that's where I took it from. Ricky's mama, how's the solar system doing? Everything's working swimmingly. So, house, washing machine, refrigerators, backup, freezers, everything is going fine. No problem. Cloudy days, not so much input. Sunny days, a lot. But like I told you guys when I did the, was it 7-day test or whatever it is, I can run the house for 3 days without any sun. So, yep, we're still doing fine. Kelly Herzl, question: do you have a grub problem, and if so, how do you treat it? You need okay. If you got grubs, what you need to do is get what's called milky spore, and spread that into your garden, water it in. Fortunately, milky spore is a good thing. It'll last a few years. It keeps reproducing. Okay, so get some milky spore, MILKYSPORE, and spread it over your vegetable gardens, your flower gardens, where it'll keep the Japanese beetles out. It'll keep the grubs out. Everything. It's it. Milky spore is going to be your friend. King's Kid, Mr. P is 400 off for $9.99 for a Delta 2. Okay, so you got it for $5.99. That's a good price. Okay, got you there. I know I don't know anything that can beat that. So, David Hall, doesn't rum cure everything? No, I guess if you are Johnny Depp, maybe, Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. I'm not a rum drinker, so not much there. Kevin Little, about how much are canning jars in your area? Central New York, they're $11 for 12-quart jars. They went down. Get them all you can. They're about $15 for a case of quarts here. So yeah, if you're getting them for $11, you're getting them cheap. Fox Any, I bought sticky net traps from Amazon. They work really well. There you go. That's good. So, unfortunately, it doesn't eradicate the gnats, but if you can control them, so they're not all over the house, that's a good idea. Fastball 2611, Pinball, how do I know when it's a proper time to harvest my broccoli? Again, obviously, you're going to see broccoli heads on there. You're going to have to kind of go by judgment. Look at the size of the plant, the green leaves, and then look at the head and go, okay, does that look like what it's able to support? You know what the size heads of broccoli are in a grocery store. Remember, those are grown in greenhouses or whatever. If you get a head of broccoli that's somewhere between baseball size and 12-inch softball size for the entire florets. Yeah, I'd be harvesting at that point. Fat Man Prepper says spritzing with soap water mix may help control the infestation on the plants. If you're talking about flea beetle, or not flea beetles, fungus gnats. The fungus gnats are in the soil, not on the plant. So that's the issue there. But yeah, a soapy water mix spraying that when, like outside, if you want to get rid of aphids or something like that, yeah, that is really good. Boney June, I planted my potatoes but forgot to cover them when they started growing, and now they're about 9 inches tall. Should I go ahead and cover or start over? Cover them. I mean, potatoes you want to hill, okay? When they start coming out of the ground, you want to push dirt up over the leaves again anyway. So yeah, go ahead, just cover them over and let them keep going. Dano, not in the, oh, I can't see what the whole name is here. Let's see if I can find it out here real quick. Dano, not in the lion's den. Why do many former military have to have big, I don't know what PP contests are with each other? Seems more than now than ever. Forgot how to be selfless, tossing D's at each other, not a helping hand, the real op, ego to it. Okay. I appreciate the question. I certainly appreciate the super chat, Daniel, but you can't use all the abbreviations. I don't know what PPs are. I don't know what tossing D's are. We got to put it in English. I understand that vernacular is different, but if I start throwing military acronyms out at everybody, they're all going to be, what are you talking about? Okay. Do me a favor, rephrase your question. I'll be happy to answer it. Dale Downing, hello, Pinball. Your thoughts as to why there are no peace talks to resolve the Russia-CIA war in Ukraine? Because they don't want one. Okay, simple as this. Joe wants the war to continue. Because it's the more he can push Russia to escalate, the better chance he has of canceling the election. Okay, and then again, remember, Joe's getting all the kickbacks from the money that we're sending over to Ukraine. Okay, so the corruption cabal is getting all our tax dollars, and Joe is certainly part of that. They don't want it to end. I mean, there's absolutely no question about it. The war in Ukraine is Joe's war. If Joe would not have got involved in that war would have been over in 2 days. That's it. Russia would have gone, boom, done. Ukraine would be like, we can't do shit. Okay. I mean, remember, they didn't do anything in 9 years of building up their defenses after Crimea. They're just, Zelensky is a world-class grifter, and he's in cahoots with Biden to steal as much money as they can. A bunch of you guys are saying for the sugar-free stuff, Pomona's universal pectin, okay? Tal Moore says, will Gavin be their candidate? I talked about this in detail yesterday. Charlene Nitschke, Sure Gel in the pink box is low or no sugar, works well. Okay, I've got the one in the yellow box. So, Linda Engelin here in Minnesota, I'm harvesting 10 to 15 thumb size asparagus spears every day. My June-bearing strawberries are all blooms. If you're letting them get to thumb size, you're probably letting them go too long. They're probably woody at the end. Try to pick them a little bit earlier. They'll be a lot more tender. And your June-bearing strawberries are all blooms. Okay, mine were a couple of weeks ago. Here in Minnesota, I'm in Tennessee, so it doesn't surprise me. North of the 52nd, do I have any snapping turtles in the pond yet? I better not. If I have any snapping turtles, I will be shooting them. That would be very simple. Uh, Heather Bray, issues with cicadas in gardens. Shouldn't be. The cicadas are basically going to go after woody trees, the new growth on them. So you're more worried about your fruit trees for the cicadas than you are your vegetables. Gigi's garden. Can berries from asparagus be used as seeds for new plants? No. You have to let the asparagus go to seed. You'll see all the fronds come out, the feathery like stuff. And at the very end of fall, they will go to seed, and then you can harvest the seed from those. But if you're talking about berries like the top of the asparagus stalk, no, that's not seeds. Elaine Pruden, I just use half pints, just hubby and me. I'm assuming talking about the strawberry jam. Yeah, we just put them in pints. And again, everybody does this different, and you get it. We do half pints for or I'm sorry, with pints. We do half pints for nothing. We do quarts, I'd say 98% of what we store, and then pints for a few things. It makes storage easier. When I'm building shelves, I can build the shelf the height of a quart, and then if I build the shelf the height of a pint, I'm giving up all that space where I can't put quarts. If I'm building it for the few pints we have, I'm losing that space. So in the interest of our storage space, most of what we do is in quarts. Jams and jellies, maybe when Mrs. P's pickling garlic or something like that, those we'll do in pints. But like I said, 98% of what we do is in quarts, and it's just the two of us. But that's our personal preference. North Alabama hiking. Good to see you, Pinball. We were dodging tornadoes last week. An EF3 passed us just to our south and had a funnel cloud pass to the north of town. Great. Having a good tornado plan is a key prep here. Yeah, you think you were in Oklahoma, not Alabama. But yeah, and again, springtime weather, we all have to, you're right. I mean, a good tornado plan is a very key prep. A hurricane plan. I mean, pretty much anywhere you are east of New Mexico, you need to have a tornado plan because, I mean, they hit the Great Plains, they hit the Midwest, they hit the Deep South. I mean, you get them all over the place. Maybe you don't get so many up in New England, okay? But, I mean, I remember sitting on my porch in Indiana one time, and out at the distance, I was watching a tornado. I mean, we all know about Oklahoma and Kansas and, I mean, come on, Wizard of Oz, Kentucky that's got hit. I mean, we all know that tornadoes in the eastern 2/3 of the country are likely, so yeah, having a plan is important. Mountain Woodsy, my dad side dressed his strawberries in the spring and the fall with rabbit manure and pellets. June bearing are the best between my son and I. Yeah, a pint a week plus for shakes, muffins. Uh, okay. Yeah, if he's putting the rabbit manure, rabbit pellets in there, yeah, those take a little bit longer to break down and stuff like that. So yeah, he's doing basically the same thing I am. Let's see. Member Barry, with this recent CME, coronal mass ejection, okay, how long do you think it will be during a major event before people realize and lose their minds, and how would you prep for that? Uh, let the power go out for 48 hours. And when people start trying to figure out what's going on, if you've ever been through any sort of long-term power outage, and I mean by long-term, I'm meaning less than, over 100 hours, okay, so 4+ days, people start to freak out, and it's not going to take long before they go, the power ain't coming back on. What do we do? Everything in my refrigerator is rotten. I can't get coffee. I mean, I told you this story, and those of you guys up in Boston will remember this. This has got to be 2011 or 2012 back. Okay, so this is a while back. But there was a Halloween ice storm, and the trees still all had leaves on it, and we got an ice storm. So that made more for the freezing rain to grab onto because there were leaves. And so it took down power lines and trees and everything all over the place. And we went without power. It was 5 or 6 days. I remember I had to drive a half an hour to a Dunkin' Donuts to get a cup of coffee because it was the only thing that was the closest one that was open, that where they had power. And it was just, I mean, everything there is electric. I mean, I was living in an apartment. It wasn't like you got a gas stove or something to do anything else with, but you had nothing. And the people were freaking out. And it was 5 or 6 days. You start losing power like that, it's going to be real quick when they lose their mind. Ohio C, pinball, not a question and certainly not a complaint, but I trained trained all of our dogs with a sport dog collar, and I'm running into that specific tone more and more, including on EcoFlow products. Okay, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I don't know what a sport dog collar is, and I don't know what specific tone you're talking about. So sorry. D Van Eyck, what do I think of JD Vance as a possible Trump VP pick? No, that ain't gonna happen. JD Vance is good, but he not ready for prime time. Let's put it that way. Farm Ranch Homestead, when considering paying off debt or prepping, set realistic budget for prepping and pay it just like any other bills. Correct. As other bills get paid off, increase the prepping budget. Totally agree with you. I mean, that's a good plan. That's kind of like following the Dave Ramsey envelope plan. $25 a month is going into this, pay that off, and just like another bill. Totally get it. Okay. I mean, I kind of go on like I said earlier, if it's a deal, get it. If it's not, don't. But I mean, there's many ways to do it. Somebody asked my opinion, I gave it. Yours is slightly different. Yours works too. Depends on the person. Okay, this is where we were. Okay, now I got to go back up here again. Okay, hang on, I got to find where we were. Okay, Scott McHugh, Pinball Bike Week here in MBSC. Lots of them from out of state buying ammo at Palmetto Armory. Yeah, that's the thing. We're starting to hear more and more whispers around that we're going to be limited to 1,000 rounds of ammo. You guys know 1,000 rounds of 22 is nothing. Okay, 1,000 rounds of 5.56 will cost you $500. You probably don't need more than tops probably 1,000 rounds for your sidearm. But yeah, stockpiling ammo is going to be important. Laura Story says, what is DE, diatomaceous earth? Okay, that says somebody answered that. Okay. Let's see. RK, any chance at some comms content? I've talked about it many times. You got a specific question, go for it. Swithers00, are roly-polies good or bad for the garden? Should I try to get rid of them? Do you know how to get rid of them? They're actually good for the garden. They are one of the bugs that will significantly aid in decomposition. Now, it's funny because we were planting beans the other day, and Mrs. P, this is the day after that storm, and you figure all the bugs and the worms and everything are coming out from the ground because they don't want to be drowned. And Mrs. P's like, there's the roly-polies all over the place. And I'm like, those are good. Just leave them be because they aid drastically in decomposition. If you think of it, maybe some of you guys experience this, maybe not, but I remember being a kid in suburbs of Chicago. And, back in the day, you had your metal trash can that sat outside on the sidewalk, between the front porch, the side of the house. Okay. And in the summer, you'd find roly-polies all underneath. And why? Because metal trash cans had a tendency to leak, and you're throwing garbage in there. So they were going after that waste. I'm trying to keep it polite. Uh, but yeah, roly-polies are really good in the garden because, anything that you've got in there, grass clippings or leaves or sticks or compost of any sort that you have that's not completely decomposed, they're going to help decompose that and turn it into better soil. So yeah, do not try to get rid of the roly-polies. They're good in your garden. Disney at Boiler Up, is milky spore safe to put on a vegetable garden after it's already growing? Yes, it is fine, no problem. Frank Drebin, evening pinball, going to be 67 the end of August. My carpal tunnel is better. Arthritis in my trigger finger is quite bad. A lot of pain in my pain in my try. I have two 45s. Could you tell me a couple of compact nines? You know me, I'm going to say go look at the CZs. They make probably about 4 or 5 different compact, not subcompact nines. You get the subcompacts too. Off the top of my head, I'm not going to be able to tell you the acronym for each one of them. But I'm going to stick to what I like best in the way of a handgun, and that's going to be a CZ. Again, best thing I can say to you, go to the gun shop and see what feels most comfortable. Russell Wiggins just now finished putting a whole beef in the freezer. Good deal. You got food for a while. Fastball 2611. Thanks, Pinball. Won't be long. My broccoli will be harvested. Cool. I'm hoping it won't be long till my broccoli actually starts heading. Let's see. North of the 52nd, still thinking about running for political office? Yes. Basically, found out earlier this week, maybe it was the end of last week, that the county commissioners here are going to be resigning, if you will, next election. And so I'm going to talk to them on Thursday night, and I'm going to throw my hat in there, and I will start as a county commissioner. So do it that way, work my way up the state, and however far that goes. Yeah, I'm not kidding about that. Dawn Hill, I had to tell you that my carrots are coming up. I'll let you know how it turns out. Yeah, mine are about that high. Okay, the greens, obviously. We'll know by September if I've got carrots. We'll see what happens. Dano, not in Lions Den. Okay, let's see if this is do you think that pushing military service ego could be used to define veterans as an opportunity to use it for a division among servicemen? No. If you're talking about the animosity between Army and Navy or Army and Marines or something like that, that's playful ribbing that servicemen and servicewomen do amongst each other. But trust me, there's not a Marine out there that doesn't respect a soldier, that doesn't respect an airman, that doesn't respect the seaman. We all have the utmost respect for, you want to see how you could really screw this up. Go into a room where you've got Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy, a bunch of guys sitting together, and come in there as a civilian and walk up to somebody and go, "Hey, grunt. Hey, jarhead. Hey, zoomy. Hey, squid," and not be a service member. You will have everybody and their mother on your ass in a heartbeat. But if a service member walks up and goes, "Hey, jarhead," no problem. Okay. No, they're not going to be able to push the veterans by service against each other or whatever it is, because we were all brothers and sisters in arms and we all respected each other because we all worked together. You know, the Marines work with the Navy, the Marines work with the Army works with the Air Force all the time. You know, it the Air Force works with the Navy all the time. There's a lot of this between the branches of service. I can't speak for Space Force because it didn't exist when I was in. Okay. But yeah, no, there's camaraderie like crazy. I mean, we can rib each other, but if an outsider starts giving somebody else crap, trust me, every single person who signed the name to that blank check will back up. Doesn't matter what service they're from. And no, they're not going to be able to divide the military. Yeah, there are some traitors as veterans. I mean, I've seen a few of them on YouTube. You know, oh, I support Hamas and I support Joe Biden. It's like you're a traitor. Just sign on the bottom. U.S. Marine Corps traitor, and we got it. Or U.S. Army traitor. It's fine. If you cannot be a liberal and be a patriot at the same time. Certainly a veteran. Okay, liberals hate the military. Understand that. Okay, liberals love terrorists. That's why they support Hamas. Teresa, have I heard of certain types of Epsom salt around tomatoes helps them grow better? That is, yeah, it's because people talk about the magnesium in it. Okay. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Very, 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 very few people are going to have a magnesium deficiency in their soil that Epsom salts are going to help. Okay. Again, this goes right back to why I say do a soil test, in the spring, and if by some miracle you're low in magnesium, okay, you can add some. But other than that, basically what you're doing is wasting time, wasting effort, and wasting money. Glenn Pappas, will the Democrat Party eventually change their presidential ticket to Michelle Obama and Gavin Newsom? Well, I talked about Gavin Newsom yesterday, and a bunch of you guys brought up Big Mike. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, the DNC convention's 2 months away. And I mean, I'm still convinced Joe will not be on the ticket in November. I think either he's going to be replaced or, like I said, or he's going to be Arkansited. The one everybody kind of forgets is, do they resurrect Hillary? That's a possibility too. So I know there's a lot of people that talk about Michelle Obama. I don't see that happening. I understand the logic behind it, but I don't think she wants it. Because even if they're not making the decisions, you still got to be the face. Old hippie, my wife and I paid off our mortgage last Friday. Congratulations. Nice job. Okay. Okie Ranch wife. Sorry, Pinball. Depends on the type of asparagus. Thumb-sized stalks of Jersey Giants and Martha Washington are excellent and tender. I grow Martha Washington, and if they're any thicker than my little finger, I was pulling some today. You get thumb size, forget it. So can't speak for Jersey Giants, but I grow Martha Washington, and thumb size thickness is too thick. Down near the bottom, it's like chewing on a stick. Jenny, hi Pinball. Question about potatoes. Leaves are coming up from the potatoes we planted. Do we cover that with dirt? First time growing potatoes. Yes. Okay. And again, you're going to see hill. You hear the terms hill tomatoes. When you get some leaves, wait till they get 6, 8 inches high. Okay. And let's say if they're 8 inches high, cover them up to 6 inches. What you want to have is you're going to have trenches in between your rows of potatoes. So your ground is literally going to look like this. Okay. What you're doing, the reason you want to hill those around those plants is it gives the potatoes more room to grow underground, because if they come above ground, they turn green and then they're poisonous, if you will. They'll make you sick. They're not going to kill you. But so you want to hill around the tomatoes or potatoes to give them more area to grow under the ground, give you a better yield. So yes, not if you're saying leaves are just coming up, wait till they're, like I said, 8 inches high and cover them till up to 6 inches. Leave some of that green out because you still need the photosynthesis. Don't completely cover them. Patrick Lake, what's my opinion of Speaker Johnson? I hope to God Louisiana's smart and kicks him out of Congress. Should I give you that answer? Original one shot, one kill. Pinball. Ross Givens, do you think he's legit? He's the inside trading guru. I'm thinking of his doing his program, $2,000, yay or nay. Have no clue who Ross Givens is, so doesn't mean he's good or bad. I just never heard of him. Tricia, yes, I recall the ice storm. Our big tree sounded like wind chimes. The branches fell. Yeah, that was it. I was in Tingsboro at the time, and forget it. You couldn't get anywhere around the lake there. It was like trees down everywhere. Okay, we shot to the bottom, so let's see where we were again. Okay, close. Huts John, I read a report yesterday about a possible worldwide financial collapse. Your thoughts, please. I absolutely agree. It's going to happen. Okay. Can't tell you what day, but I mean, we're $34 trillion plus in debt. We're running at what? 115% of GDP or something like that. It's 120% of GDP. I mean, everything, if we took every dollar that was earned and made in the United States in a year by everybody, every company, every person, everything, we couldn't pay off the national debt. The rest of the world is in just as bad a shape. We are going to have a global financial meltdown. And it's still the number one thing that I prepare for when financially the world is FUBAR. We could talk about nuclear war, we could talk about EMPs, we can talk about civil war, we can talk about everything. Economic collapse is still, in my opinion, the most likely SHTF situation we're going to face. And it ain't going to be just the United States or just third world nations. Not that Joe hasn't made us a third world nation. It's not just going to be in Europe, but you're going to start seeing countries fall like dominoes. Okay. And when Europe falls, the U.S. ain't but a couple of months behind. Sandra D, what do I think about Byron Donalds for VP? Better choice than J.D. Vance. Still not ready for prime time. Prep Rebel, what's my opinion on sono tubes for storing ammo underground? I think way too many people put way too much emphasis on storing of ammunition. It's kind of like you're storing your food, okay? You should be rotating it. You should be going out to the range and practicing with it, keeping your skills sharp. You should be using a first in, first out method. I mean, everything just like your food. Granted, you're not going to go out and blast off 3,000 rounds of 5.56 a month unless you've got more money than God, but it's not like ammo is not like gas. It's not going to go bad in 6 months. You know, you're going to get years out of it in storage. Okay, if you've got 10,000 rounds of 5.56 and you blow off 300 a month, 10 magazines worth, okay, to train with, fine. Buy 300 new, put it in the back, and just keep rotating it. I When people are talking about storing ammo underground, my question is, how much do you have? Okay, I mean, 1,000 rounds of handgun ammo per caliber per weapon, or per weapon, I guess it'd just be, is more than adequate, and 10,000 rounds per weapon of rifle ammo for battle rifle is more than adequate. But you don't need 10,000 rounds of shotgun shells. You don't need 10,000 rounds of 308 hunting rounds or whatever. You know, I mean, I've got what, probably, I don't know, 250 shotgun shells, okay, for home defense. I think I'm good, okay. Uh, 308 rounds for hunting. I think I've probably got maybe about 500 rounds. I'm good, okay. Uh, and you go from there. Guys, do me a favor. Please read the questions that you post before you post them. Some of them are making absolutely no sense whatsoever to me. So if it doesn't make sense, you start using abbreviations and things like that, I don't get it. So I'm sorry. I'm just going to skip them. Dano, eight in the big. Thank you for the super chat. Eight in the big green. I love my DD214. There you go. The welcomed he she's is a new issue. Yeah, no kidding. '06, don't ask. '08, you can be 24. Want to cut your, yeah, okay. And we'll go from there. Yeah. Well, I was in the don't ask, don't tell age. So, that wasn't going to happen. Maybe it wasn't even that. Maybe it was just like, it ain't just happening. Uh, Original one shot, one kill. My recommendation for a carry handgun for value is police trade-in Glock from AIM surplus, classic arms, centerfire systems, etc. 300-ish for excellent pistol. And that's a great price. Don't get me wrong. Is it comfortable? Okay. Does your hand fit in it comfortably? Is it too small? Is it too big? You know, again, you're talking about different people firing it. Is maybe a 380 is more comfortable than a 9 millimeter, something like that. Recoil, how's that going to, you got to go out, and I've mentioned this many times, go to a range that has firearms for rent and say, okay, I want to try that one, and that one. Maybe you don't like an automatic. Maybe you'd rather have a revolver, you know. Uh, that's, you know, you can't just go, that one looks pretty. I like that one. And no, that's not how it works. But no, I'm not going to, I mean, for 300 bucks for and I'm assuming you're talking 9 millimeter there, that's a good price. Uh, Heinz 57 got in a fight with a boyfriend 20 years ago, now can't have a firearm. That's where there's a problem with the law. On Mousetrap, did I see the Northern Lights this past weekend? I don't stay up late enough to watch for them. Matter of fact, I will be going to bed as soon as this is done because I'm up early. You guys know that. Y'all love those 6 o'clock, 6:30 videos. Guess what? I got to be up time to make it, edit it, and post it. Uh, Patty Foot, pinball, something is eating my cabbage. Can't see anything. Chances are you got cabbage worms. Uh, or slugs, snails. You probably see those, but it's going to be one of those uh, easily. If you got holes in it, yeah, it's probably slugs or snails. Michael Eversberg, pinball. Instead of a VP for Trump, we need to find an attorney general who's worthy of the job. Yeah, don't give me Jeff Sessions again. Once found, start cleaning the DOJ and all other agencies. Uh, I totally agree. Mike Lee would make a good attorney general. Ted Cruz would make a good attorney general. I would take either one of them. Again, the problem is then you open up a Senate seat and sorry, it's hard keeping all these. Is Spencer Cox the governor of Utah, or is he the mayor of Salt Lake City? I forget. But that, those are things that you got to watch too. If it's an appointed replacement, I don't worry about if we got say, Greg Abbott appointing a replacement for Ted Cruz. Not a big deal. But the last thing I want is pull somebody in, a Republican out, a conservative, Mike Lee, and have some liberal idiot anoint his successor. And it's 9:01, and I'm into Jason's time. All right, so that is it for the night. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Pinball out.